I am Dr. Nandita Kaushal, Senior Assistant Professor in the Department of Public Administration, University of Lucknow, Lucknow. Now I am going to present the module Meaning, Basis and Rationale of Public Policy. This module is divided into two parts. First part of the module, it deals with public policy, meaning, nature and scope of public policy. Second part of the module, it deals with public policy and policy sciences. First, coming to the objectives. After going through this chapter, you will be able to understand public policy, meaning, nature and scope of public policy and policy sciences, objectives of public policy. Now, first starting with the introduction, public policies are as old as state and government. Whatever is the type of state and form of government, public policies are needed by all to deliver public goods and services and thus to give practical shape to its intentions. But the concept of public policy as an academic pursuit is of recent origin. It emerged in the latter half of the 20th century, and since then it has been acquiring new dimensions. In the beginning, the studies of public policies were dominated by researchers and students of political science. Even though there was some concern with the activities of administrative machinery, its structures and its success in achieving its targets or goals, but hardly there was any recognition of the role being played by this machinery in the formulation of policies, which was the main concern of political system. Yet, the policy is an important element of the administrative process. Policy implies a decision as to what shall be done and how, when and where. In the words of Paul Appleby, the essence of public administration is policy making. Public policies are concerned with the pattern of actions directed towards addressing social problems and achieving the goals. Over a period of time, considerable progress has taken place in understanding policy content and processes. Now coming to the meaning of public policy. Public policies are policies formulated and implemented by governmental bodies and officials. These include whatever government intends to undertake or not to undertake. In other words, public policies are governmental rules and programs, whether considered individually and or collectively, formulated and implemented for the purpose of effecting positive change in society. Public policy is basically a set of rules and regulations which are set forth, and the public authorities are expected to adhere to and comply with them. The term public policy always refers to the actions of the government and the intentions that determine those actions. The term public policy has been explained by several scholars. According to Stephen Brooks, public policy is the broad framework of ideas and values within which decisions are taken and action or inaction is pushed by governments in relation to some issue or problem. Marshall E. DeMock defines public policy as consciously acknowledged rules of conduct that guide administrative decisions. The term public policy has been described by some texts simply as what government does, while others say that it is the stated principles which guide the actions of the government. Public policy can be defined as a purposive and consistent course of action produced as a response to a perceived problem of a constituency, formulated by a specific political process and adopted, implemented and enforced by a public agency. A more complex and more conceptualized definition of public policy has been offered by William Jenkins. According to him, public policy is a set of decisions connected together made by a policy actor or by a set of actors. Referring to selecting objectives and means for reaching them in a specific situation in which these actors should in principle have the power to make these decisions. James E. Anderson defines public policy as a purposive course of action followed by an actor or set of actors in dealing with a problem or matter of concern for the population, and public policy are those developed by governmental bodies and officials. The above definitions imply the following. First, public policy is what government actually decides or chooses to do and is the relationship of the government units to the specific field of political environment in a given administrative system. Second, public policies are goal-oriented. In order to attain the objectives which the government has in view for the ultimate benefit of the masses in general, the public policies are formulated and implemented. These are value-laden and arise as sequel of the programs of the government in action overtly. Third, public policy is a pattern or course of activity of the governmental officials and actors collectively rather than being termed as their discrete and segregated decisions. Fourth, public policy is positive in the sense that it depicts the concern of the government and involves its actions to a particular problem on which the policy is made. Negatively, it involves a decision by governmental actors not to take any action on a particular issue unilaterally without deliberations. Fifth, public policy in its positive form has the action of law and authority behind it, and that is why it is called as authoritative. Sixth, public policy is a choice or decision made by government that guides subsequent actions in similar circumstances. Seventh, public policy stems from a well-defined procedure wherein power, control, gaming and bargaining concepts play a significant role. The preceding analysis reveals that public policy is a goal-oriented action of the government. It is clearly defined as a course of action adopted by the political agencies and actors in order to achieve certain goals. Now coming to the basis of public policy. Public policy in the broad term refers to the policy or plan of what to do that is formulated and implemented for the benefit of the public. If read in light of the narrow view of public policy, then it relates to plan of action to be pursued by the government, because public is also used as a synonym for government in many places. There is no unanimity on the definition of public policies. However, public policy can be described as the overall framework within which the actions of the government are undertaken to achieve its goals. It is a purposive and consistent course of action devised in response to a perceived problem of a constituency, formulated by a specific political process and adopted, implemented and enforced by a public agency. Goals, policies and programs are different and should not be used as synonyms of each other or interchangeably. Policies are devised to achieve certain goals by the government. For example, the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan is a government program to achieve the policy of free and compulsory education to all children in the age group of 6 to 14 years in India. This policy was established through the Right to Education Act 2009 and is part of Meta Policy of Education for All by UNESCO. Public policy is a document that contains the broad outline as well as the detailed description of formulation as well as implementation of various government programs and plans that are taken out for the goal or objective of public benefit and implemented through the constitutional authorities, bureaucracy and government, organizations and institutions in collaboration with civil society organizations. It takes a variety of forms like law, ordinances, court decisions, executive orders, decisions, etc. It is the authoritative declaration of the intentions of the government of what it intends to do and not to do. The success of public administration as well as government in a country is linked with the success of its public policy. Once a goal is determined, then the government has to develop a broad outline or policy document which shows the manner in which goal will be tried to be attained, and then once that is done, programs are developed. Then organizations and institutions are set up to house those programs, and personnel are equipped to achieve the goals of a particular program. This will be in cohesion with other programs and their organizations under the same policy, which will help to achieve the goals of a policy, and that will help to achieve the overall goal of the government. Now coming to the scope of public policy, the term scope implies the extent to which area of public policy extends. It also involves the causes for the expansion of the content of public policy. Before we discuss the scope of public policy, it is important to remember that it emerged as an interdisciplinary area. Earlier, public policy as a branch of political science studied the laws made by formal governmental structures. In the field of political science, the three organs of the government, namely the legislature, executive and judiciary, were regarded as the law-making bodies. However, during post-1950s, distinction was drawn between a law and a policy. Law is a loose and general term, while policy is a specific term concerned with a well-defined area having implications for the present and future generations. In the recent past, political science has come to be seen mainly as a policy science because of policy concerns of political science. There are different factors that contributed for widening of the scope of public policy. Mention may be made of science and technology, industrialization, urbanization, developmental role of the modern state, and increased emphasis on welfare activity of the state, etc. Industrialization promoted urbanization. These two established a complex network of socio-economic relationship. Its impact could be seen in the expansion of markets and migration of people. The process is also accentuated by high degree of specialization in all spheres of human life. The advancements of science, the technology, revolutionized the life of modern man through communications and transport. All these developments have underlined the need to formulate specialized policies to face the challenges and meet the needs of modern society. Agriculture, industry, information technology, researches in the field of life sciences, etc. presupposed policy formulations to cope up with the advancements. As a part of this, the state is formulating different types of policies like population, agriculture, industrial, urban policy, development policies, environmental policy, etc. These policies are formulated on the basis of well-researched knowledge acquired by the specialist data collected by various agencies, including specialized institutions and governmental organizations. All these developments strengthened the trend towards public policy studies and their evaluation. Added to it, the modern state initiated a large number of welfare activities in the form of anti-poverty programs and other ameliorative measures. The increased welfare activity of the state directly contributed to the enhanced significance of public policy. It includes policies relating to rural development, urban governance, economic development, etc. The same trend is also witnessed among the Western countries. This is mainly on account of complex nature of specialization in society, economy, ecology and polity. Next, coming to the nature of public policy. After understanding the definition of public policy, we shall now discuss its nature, which relates to the area or aspects that public policy as a discipline is concerned with in terms of its interdisciplinary character. Public policy has been termed as a pattern or course of activity and as the relationship of the government unit to its environment. Public policy is based upon policy demands and claims made upon public officials by other actors, governmental or non-governmental, in a given political system for taking some action to sort out a specific program. The actions taken by governmental actors and agencies pertaining to any issue are known as policy decisions. The policy decision helps the governmental officials to provide direction and content to public policy actions. Their action to the effect is based on the formal expression or articulation of public policies. This formal expression or articulation is termed as policy statement, and it includes all legislative statutes, executive orders and decrees, and administrative rules and regulations in it. Public policy is a via media between government and citizens. It provides instances of citizen-government interface. Public policies depict the overall functioning of political and administrative systems. The operational area of public policy is abundantly vast and its range and scope are thoroughly wide. Keeping in view the interdependence on other national powers, the public policies of a political system also do include in them policies pertaining to import aspects and good and cordial relations with other nations. It is rather difficult to restrict or define the scope and range of public policy in words. The study of public policy has emerged as an interdisciplinary field of inquiry. Public denotes the means of the state to intervene in public life of the citizens for effecting a positive change. The study of public policy is concerned with the application of scientific methods and insights for the improvement of social life and solving public problems. Public policy is an important mechanism for moving a social system from the past to future. Public policy is not only concerned with the description and explanation of the causes and consequence of government activity, but also with the development of scientific knowledge about the forces shaping public policy. The study of public policy helps to understand the social ills of the subject under study. It is the means to bring social transformation in a positive way. Public policy involves improving the democratic or political capacities of people and not simply the efficiency and effectiveness of delivery of goods and services. The public policy may consist of long-term, short-term, scientific, profession and political objectives. In India, executive, legislative and judicial agencies and political parties, bureaucracy and pressure groups play a significant role in public policy formulation process. Define public policy and discuss its nature and scope. Write an essay on the public policy, development of India. First, Ashford, Dog, edited 1992, History and Context in Comparative Public Policy, Ithaca, New York, University of Pittsburgh Press. Second is Brewer, Gary D. and Peter D. Leon, 1983, The Foundations of Policy Analysis, Homewood 2, The Dorsey Press. Third is Dahl, Robert and Charles Lindblom, 1976, Politics, Economics and Welfare, New York, Harper. Fourth is Jones, C.O., 1970, An Introduction to the Study of Public Policy, Belmont, Prentice Hall. Fifth is Laswell Herald, 1971, A Review of Policy Sciences, New York, Elsevier. Sixth is Lerner D. and H. D. Laswell edits 1951, The Policy Sciences, Stanford University Press.